all of my life. One thing, I ask you, I don't know. To be with you all of my life. Achat sha'alti meit Adonai. Achat sha'alti Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It is good to see you after another week. It's been a little rainy the last few days, so it's been nice to smell the rain in the air and water our grass and plants just a little bit. Helps us think about the renewal of Rosh Hashanah, which is really coming up soon, and puts us in that right mindset for this month of Elul. We want to remind you, as we do every Shabbat, that if you're here with us on Zoom, you can find the link in the chat to our special Siddur for Elul. Just a reminder that when you see the link, you need to go down to the fourth book on that link for the special Elul prayer book, because they have the ones for the high holidays there as well. If you're with us on Facebook, you can get that same stuff in the comment section. And the same goes if you're with us on live stream. You can click the link and get it there. So with all of that, we want to encourage everyone to turn on your video screen as much as possible and enjoy services together, getting to see not just my face and Rabbi Jürgen's face and Cantor Berlin and Alan Berlin's faces, but each other's faces as well. I know we like to see all of your faces. So we're going to begin our service on page 2 with Yedid Nefesh.
Yedid Nefesh Avarachanan, Yedid Nefesh Avarachanan, Meshachatecha.
On page 11, we make ready to welcome Shabbat by kindling the Sabbath lights. In the beginning, emptiness and chaos, a great darkness over the deep. The Spirit of God moved over the waters, explosion of light, the long chain of emerging life. Behold, it was very good. These candles evoke the very first light. Out of the darkness came reason, purpose, consciousness of beauty, the power to discern and do what is right. Let us hold the light in our hearts. Let us bring it with us into the darkest corners of creation, where there is pain and fear. Let us offer light and love.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. And please join me in Kiddush. It actually starts on page 12. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit. Ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim. Ki banu v'charta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodeshecha, v'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
L'chaim. We continue now on page 14, singing songs of Kabbalat Shabbat to welcome Shabbat, Shir Chadash.
Mizmor Shir is on page 18. Mizmor Shir leyom haShabbat, tov lehodot l'Adonai, tov lehodot l'Adonai, lozamer l'shimcha elyon.
On page 22, we make ready to welcome the Sabbath bride. I'm going to unmute and say it all again. Cool. All right, we're going to turn to page 22 and Sharon L'Chadodi. We're going to welcome that Sabbath bride. And when we get to Bo'iva Shalom, our last verse, we're going to ask you if you're able to rise and picture yourself here with me in the Wolf Sanctuary as we welcome Shabbat together, connected by our presence here on Zoom, on Facebook, on live stream, knowing that our desire to celebrate Shabbat is something that links us together as one. So join us and sing. We invite you all to turn on your camera for just a few moments and unmute yourself so that we can all wish each other a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Have a good week.
Shabbat Shalom. Wonderful to see you all. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to everybody.
We continue now on page 24 with the Chatzi Kaddish. We're going to remain standing through the Shema.
Yitgadol v'yitkadash shemei Rabbanim, בעמד יברחרתי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחייך בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה, ובזמן קריב, ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולם עלמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, יתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה, ויתעלה שמי לקודשת בריחו, לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירון בעמה, ויאמרו אמן.
We continue together on page 28. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv arabim, bechokma potach sha'arim, uvituna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakira kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, Ma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uven laila, Adonai tzvaot. El chai v'kayam, tamid imloch alenu le'olam va'ed, Baruch ata Adonai, hama'ariv arabim. Page 30. Love beyond all space and time, your love enfolds your people, Yisrael. We receive it in your teaching, your gift of Torah, sacred obligations, discipline, and law. So let us speak these teachings when we lie down and rise up, and find joy forever in your Torah and mitzvah. They are the very essence of our life, ours to ponder and study all our days. May we never lose or be unworthy of your love. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. For you are blessed, the one who loves your people, Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. Please join me in the Haftarah on page 34. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים אלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We continue on page 41. When Israel went forth from Egypt, we went forth. Behind us now the speech of strangers, ahead the freedom to speak our own words, discover the holy. Witnessing this, the great sea fled, the river changed its course. The mountains danced like rams, the hills like sheep. Sea, river, and mountains, what has become of you? Why flee? Change course. Why dance like rams and sheep? Stand in awe, all the earth. The God of Jacob turns rock to water, stone to a gushing stream. Life changes course in an instant. Sing from the heart, awaken to wonders. Micha Mocha, page 40. We continue together in the English of Hashkivenu in the middle of page 42. Bless our sleep with peace, Adonai, and awaken us to life when we rise. With power sublime, spread over us of shalom, and through your wisdom restore us, make us whole. Let your name proclaim your presence in our lives, be our shield, make us stronger than the enemies we face, illness and war, famine and sorrow, and stronger than the enemies in our hearts, wickedness and sin. Carry us to safety as on wings, for you are the monarch of grace, the sovereign of compassion. You are the one who cares for us and sets us free. Watch over us, go forth to life. Watch over us that we may come home in peace, now until the end of time. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed One, you spread over us a canopy of peace, a shelter of shalom over all Israel, your people, and over Jerusalem. We join together on page 46, singing Vishamru, rejoicing in Shabbat.
ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם וביום השביעי שבת וינפש שבת וינפש שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We rise for the Amidah on page 48.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha Oh God, open up my lips as I begin to pray. Oh God, open up my lips as I begin to pray. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanora, Elion, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevii Geula livnei v'neihem, למען שמו באהבה, מלך חוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה כל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, לשני עפר, לכמוך בעל גבורות, ונידון מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללוך סלה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. This Elul prayer book has so many beautiful poems and readings for us to sample. Tonight, I will share just a few of the readings from the left side, the blue side of the book, and I invite you to let the ideas, the holiness of Elul into your heart. On page 55, a kavanah from the Elul Psalms. Is it not your will to bring us back to life again, that through you we may find happiness? When love and truth touch, justice and peace will kiss. And on page 57, A year of your goodness, your crowning gift. Your paths grow lush with oil, drop by drop. Pastures for grazing thrive in the wilderness, and the hills are encircled with joy. Flocks of sheep close spacious fields, and the valleys wear garments of grain. Filled to bursting, they shout, they praise, an exultant song of delight. On page 61, we have a poem called To Shape the World Anew. The sea pushes back off the shore, yielding to gravity with a sigh, not a leaving, but a letting go, a retreat into its own deep fullness. The sun relinquishes its hold on the day, only to rise once more at daybreak as the tide rolls back in, a different kind of letting go, an unspooling across the expanse. And we creatures of earth are granted a fresh start, a chance to gather the debris and shape the world anew. Wholeness is a kind of holiness, the stasis of perfection. But brokenness demands recreation, a churning cycle of endings and beginnings, the act of pulling hope and brightness from the wreckage, taking the jagged shards and making of them, if not wholeness, a new sort of sacred splendor. On page 69, we read together. For the gifts I received today, air in my lungs, pulse in my veins, my restless mind alive and curious, awakening suddenly to beauty, for love and the memory of love, forgiveness when I didn't deserve it, another chance at life, let my soul give thanks to you. Let me not forget your kindness. We turn now to page 77. As we make ready to offer our prayers for the world, prayers for peace in our world, and also prayers of peace for those who are in our lives and those we hold in our hearts in need of healing. If there, in addition to the list that will be on our screen momentarily of those in our congregation who are on our Misha Berach list, I invite you to think of the people or not. I invite you to think of the people in your own life that are in need of healing, and also to think of all those in our community, in our country, in our world who are struggling with the effects of COVID-19. All of us dealing with extra stress and anxiety, so much uncertainty at this time. And yet our prayers for healing can bring us together. So take a moment and think about those that you love, those in need of healing. Whisper their names out loud. And so we join Cantor Berlin and Rabbi Berlin in our prayer for healing, Misha Berach, on page 77.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mikor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Please take a moment for your own silent prayers. my God, my rock and my redeemer, Adonai Tori V'Gali. My heart opens for you, my lips pray to you. Please, please shine through. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi. V'hegyon libi lefanecha. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi.
Something y'all may not know about me is that I am a self-proclaimed novice genealogist. On my maternal grandfather's side, we've had a vested interest in it for generations, and we've been keeping a family tree that goes back to the mid-1800s, which isn't super long ago in genealogy times, but in Jewish family time for my family and Jewish family members perished in the Holocaust, it's pretty impressive. On my dad's side, we didn't have a lot of information, but it was something that he was passionate about and curious about. When my father died, I decided that it was a huge missed opportunity for me to find out more about my family and decided to jump into working on Ancestry.com, JewishHeritage.com, and other genealogical sites, those geared towards Jews and those for anyone. I did a deep dive, a really deep dive. In the about 5 years since I have started working on this seriously, I have almost 11,000 people on my tree, as I felt that I didn't care how distant they were, I was going to keep going. Some of my information is just copied from other locations, some verified and some not, but it felt like I was piecing together information about my past that I knew nothing about. I involved my family heavily as I brought my laptop to family and meals and asked everyone questions to fill in the blanks. I've connected with distant cousins who are the keepers of the family tree for one side or another to learn more. I discovered information about my paternal grandmother's family that none of us had any idea about, continuing her legacy after her death as well. I also connected with cousins around the world that I had no idea existed and didn't know how they were even related until we pieced the tree together like a puzzle. I've seen amazing headstones, incredible pictures, difficult trails broken by the Holocaust, and been able to collect hundreds of stories from family members to make these ancestors come to life. I've learned so much, really I could talk about it for hours, and sometimes I do, and I've even brought some of this new hobby into Temple, with an addition of using primary source documents to teach students about the Galveston movement, where many of the founders of Temple Beth-El came to the United States. I find that all these resources are fascinating and give us a firsthand account of things that happened in our history. For many Jews, this is important to who we are and to learn where we have come from. Then these things help us figure out where we should be going. Think about all the times in Torah and holiday observances in our lives where we are reminded of our history of Jews. How many times do we hear, "Remember when you were slaves in Egypt," or "Remember when the Amalekites attacked out of Egypt"? These threads come about frequently. Passover is a great example of this and how we are reminded of our history and told that we must tell the story repeatedly and never forget it. During the holiday of Passover, we recite texts from our Torah portion this week, Ki Tavo. In the portion, the Israelites are given instructions for when they get to the land of Israel. One of the things they must do is plant various things so that they have food. However, says that when the harvest comes each year, the first fruits must be offered to God with the following words from Deuteronomy 26, verses 5 through 10. My father was a wandering Aramean. He went down to Egypt, few in number, and sojourned there. But there he became a great and very populous nation. The Egyptians dealt harshly with us and oppressed us. They imposed heavy labor upon us. We cried to the Lord, the God of our fathers, and the Lord heard our plea and saw our plight, our misery, and our. The Lord freed us from Egypt by a mighty hand, by an outstretched arm, an awesome power, and by signs and wonders. He brought us to this place and gave us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. And I now bring the first fruits of the soil, which you, O Lord, have given me. These words are the ones accompanied by the offering. It's not a blessing for future crops, not a prayer to God to provide rain and sun to keep growing more produce, not a message to God of thanksgiving for the sustenance they've been given. Instead, it's a remembrance of the Israelites' past. This seems curious, as it would make more sense to have an Israelite thank God for what happened with the crops when offering the first fruits, not to be looking back on our past. However, I think it's beautiful imagery. None of those farms, orchards, vineyards, or gardens could have been started without a seed. Those seeds needed to be planted by the Israelites to sustain themselves in a new land. The Israelites couldn't have gotten to that new land without having a history, a story that connects them to past generations. The same can be said for each one of us. No matter what our background is or what our childhood was like, we are who we are because of it. Rabbi Jethro Berkman, a teacher and dean at Gaon Academy, a Jewish high school in the Boston area, said the ancient of the first fruits contains a kernel of wisdom for us today. As we rush through our busy lives, we should find time to pause, appreciate the bounty in our lives, and remember where we came from. Sharing the stories of our families and our people reminds us that if we look beyond the edges of our lifespans, we see that we are not just drifting through time, but that each of us is a precious word in a beautiful, ever-unfolding story. May we take this month of Elul leading into the High Holy Days to truly pause and appreciate what we have and where we came from. May we spend time thinking about our ancestors and how we connect to them decades later. May we recognize the beauty of the world around us and thinking about how each element came to be, how our ancestors had a role in making the world what it is today. May we also then look forward and realize that we have the power to impact what the world will look like years down the road. Shabbat Shalom. We continue with our service on page 78 with Aleinu, and I invite you to please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדילה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. As we turn towards Kaddish Yatom, we note with sadness the death of Rose Dreisison, mother of Trudy Shea Petty and Marilyn and Aaron Kaufman. A private family service will be held. We also note with sadness the death of John Roach, husband of Meredith Roach, son of Steve and Mickey Gross and Sherry Gross, brother of Julie Holtzberg, Sarah Gross, and Gross. We also note with sadness the death of Marlene Gloria Carden, mother of Alan Carden and mother-in-law of Kathy Carden, grandmother of Kristen and Patrick Sharp, Ryan and Vicky Leonhardt, Jordan Leonhardt, Alana Carden, Rachel Carden and Greg Harris, and Eli Carden, great-grandmother to many. A private family service will also be held. Would like to offer you a memorial meditation from our regular prayer book, a meditation by Rabbi Richard Levy. It is hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were, in company with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives more fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world, and each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one whose life, now ended, brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. Our thoughts turn now to in our hearts and those who we remember this Shabbat from our community as we mark the yard sites of Robert Allen, Joseph Balcazar, Rose K. Burgle, Minnie Berlin, Adolph P. Bernhardt, Joan Sue Blinder, Leo Block, Dr. Robert Brody, Dr. Byron Cole, Pauline Eichelbaum, Ann Janice Upton, Jesse Feinberg, Stanley Frank Jr., Madeline Goldfein, Donald Herback, Thomas Jenkins, Dorothy Jessel, Samuel Joseph, Samuel Klein, Dr. Richard Mark Lakritz, Lizetta Lacer, Elsa Lauderstein, S.E.B. Lehman, Eunice Seiss Lichten, Aaron Lifshitz, Aaron Archie Lifshitz, William E. Mabry Sr., Sarah Mann, Nanette Roy, Marvin Miller, Monira Mirjani, Thomas Patrick O'Keefe, Pauline Pepper, Abe Pullen, David O. Resnick, Esther Ringel, Rose Rabinowitz, Bertha Roos, Eva Rossow, Elsie Sanger, Maurice Serling, Carla Silen, Joseph Silverman, Dr. Leopold Simon, Sandra Stein, Stanley Stein, Sherman Brooks, Nathan G. Tivers, Frida Wank, and Adele Zimmerman. To these names, we also mark those who died this past month and whose families are in a mourning period of Shloshim. We remember Ruth Susser Shapira, Kalman Lowe, Alan Richard Kahn, Beatrice B. M. Chapa, Laura Richmond, and Michael Stern. To all of these names, we add those which are in our hearts each and every day as we turn to recite the words hallowed by time, the Kaddish Yatom, which can be found on page 86. And I ask you to please rise. Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, chayachon u'yomechon u'chayed chol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'vizman kari v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei barach le'olam ulmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudesha b'richu, Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran ve'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, u'yam shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. You may be seated.
As we do each week during the month of Elul, we share in the special opportunity to hear the sound of the shofar, preparing us for our teshuvah journey that begins on Rosh Hashanah. So on page 89, I'll share a reading, and then Rabbi Jurgen will share a reflection. We'll share in a blessing, and then Dana Coronado, who's here with us this evening, will sound the shofar. Page 89. The shofar is sounded from the first day of Elul until the eve of Rosh Hashanah to signal the approaching days of awe. The sound of the shofar implores us to engage in cheshbon hanefesh, an accounting of the soul. Amid shouts of joy to the sound of shofar, the Holy One ascends.
We continue on page 90 with the third kavanah. Summon the energy to sound the horn, muster the strength to change. Move from judgment to compassion, shift your perspective and heal. Be the first to apologize, excuse me, offer the hand of forgiveness, open to hear the horn, believe in your power to change.
On page 91, Baruch atah Adonai, shomea truah. Blessed are you, Adonai, who hears the sound of the shofar. Tekiah. Shivarim teruah. Tekiah. Well done. Our closing song is Olam Chesed on page 92.
Olam chesed yibaneh, yalalai, lalai, yalalai. 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 I will build this world from love. Yalalai, lalai, yalalai. And you must build this world from love. Yalalai, lalai, yalalai. If we build this world from love, yalalai, lalai, yalalai. And God will build this world from love, yalalai, lalai, yalalai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yalalai, lalai, yalalai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yalalai, lalai, yalalai.
I invite everyone to turn on their camera, and our president, Dr. Amy Benedict, has some words of greeting for all of you.
Shabbat Shalom. First of all, Dana, thank you for blowing the shofar for us. That was lovely. Before I have a wellness moment, we kind of talked about that last week, and I'll follow up on that. I want to tell you that today I made phone calls to wish congregants a Happy New Year. And every year we split that up, the Temple board does, and we try to call every congregant. I just want to share something funny that happened today. One person that answered what sounded like a very young child. I'm not sure how old he was. So he said hello, and I said, hi, this is Amy Benedict. I'm the president of Temple Beth-El. Who is this? And he said, no, thank you. And he hung up. So it didn't really hurt my feelings because he did what I'm sure he was told that he's supposed to do. So it was perfectly fine. But I don't know what he told his parents, like who he said was on the phone. I'm not sure. But you would think even if he was 6 years old that he might recognize Temple Beth-El and may have, but apparently not. So he did the right thing. He listened to his parents. Okay. The next thing is I want to talk about a wellness moment. Last week, we talked about what we can do during these interesting times to make ourselves feel better. And I shared with you what some of the clergy and staff are doing in their week. And I asked if maybe this week, someone from the congregation, one of you all, could share with us what's made you feel better this week, done something maybe to improve or help your emotional wellness. I'll share first what I did this week. For me, doing something for someone else is what makes me feel better. So this week I donated blood. Would anyone like to share something that they've done this week?
Amy, I'll share.
Hi, Amy.
Hi. I teach swimming and I'm still teaching swimming. And so it always gives me a high to watch my little ones swim. And I started with a 20-month-old who was swimming without his parent this week, and he did fabulous. And so that always gives me a high and makes me feel good.
I love that. And what a gift that a child knows how to swim and, you know, in terms of danger and all that. So that's awesome. Thank you. Who else wants to share? Anyway, did anyone do any cooking like Joel? Did anyone cook anything that was fun or interesting or different? Yes?
Ashley had her hand up. Ashley, I'm calling you out there.
Okay, who has their hand up?
Me.
Okay, yeah. Hi, Ashley. What did you do?
I made challah and then I went on a run. Actually, I went on 2 runs.
2 runs. I love that. It wasn't too hot?
No, especially last night. It was really, really cool outside.
Nice. Was that your first time making challah?
No, I've made it a couple times before, but it was the first time I got to make it with Cantor Berlin, essentially.
Oh, nice. Delicious. Who doesn't want a home-baked challah? Excellent. Anyone else do something that made them feel good this week? Anybody? Yes, Arlene, what's up?
Well, I spend a lot of time on Zoom. So yesterday I was on Zoom for 2 lectures at the McNay. And then last night, there's a Road Faye book club and a wonderful presenter. And these were short stories from the foreword called Have I Got a Story for You? So I try to keep up with all sorts of things, and some weeks I'm busier than I really want to be, but I get suckered into all of these things because everything sounds so wonderful. And there are so many free things. I've been watching Jazz Texas. I didn't watch it this week because I just didn't have time. But if you look online, there are orchestras from all over the world, the Israel Philharmonic, the Berlin Philharmonic. The Met Opera has free streaming of operas that are from their archives. Organizations hope you'll make donations, but you don't have to. These things are free. So that's what I'm doing with my time.
I love that.
I love, Arlene, that you're just continuing to be your most awesome, regular, overly inquisitive, like always looking to learn something new and experiencing something new. It does not surprise me that you have not allowed COVID to get in your way. Fantastic.
No, I wear a mask though, and I'm hibernating most of the time, and I'm distancing. I'm doing all the right things, and I'm trying to stay in touch with family on FaceTime. So that's the best I can do.
So you've improved your emotional wellness by learning. I love that too, actually. That's very rewarding for me also. Thank you. Would anyone else like to share? And if you decide not to share this week, think of something great you can tell us for next week.
I'd like to share.
Hi, Dana. What's up?
I cut my own hair.
Oh, wow.
I didn't have to go out anywhere. I just got the razors and just cut it.
Look at that. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Amy, there's been a bunch of stuff in the chat box as well.
Okay.
Hannah Margolis said she read Rabbi Stahl's book for the first time.
Nice.
Rowley said that she's been volunteering at the food bank and that they need more help. And Mel Cohen said that he went to the cemetery and cleaned his parents' headstones and there's a flag for them.
Very nice. Thanks, everybody, for sharing. Shabbat Shalom. Have a wonderful week.
Shabbat Shalom.
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 Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So
Shabbat
wonderful.
shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom, everybody.
shalom.
Shalom.
Rational inquiry.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
One thing I Shalom.